Right now, somewhere in Madrid, there's a Formula One car doing something no other car on the grid has ever done. And the strange part isn't the car. It's the fact that nobody stopped it. Every team in Formula One operates under the same rulebook. Every team gets the same testing restrictions. And on paper, not one of them should be allowed to run a current spec car on a brand new Grand Prix circuit before that circuit has hosted an actual race. Madrid has never hosted a race. So by every normal reading of the rules, this shouldn't be happening. But it is. Ferrari has Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc on track right now, driving the exact layout that will host September's Spanish Grand Prix, a track every rival team has 0 laps on. Not 1 meter. Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, all of them are working from simulations and guesswork. Ferrari is working from a car that's already been there. So here's the question that should be bothering every rival engineer tonight. How is this legal? Before we get to the answer, let's sit with just how big a problem 0 laps really is. A brand new circuit is a blank page. Engineers can model it 1,000 times in a factory rig, feed in laser scan track data, simulate the tarmac, simulate the grip levels, simulate every camber and crest. But a model is never the truth. It's a prediction dressed up as data. The real surface, the real way a car loads through a corner at 250 kilometers an hour, the real behavior of the tires on that specific asphalt, none of that exists until a real car actually runs there. And yes, technically the Madrid has been driven before. Carlos Sainz, who races for Williams and serves as an official ambassador for the race, took the first laps there last year in an older show car in front of a crowd of roughly 80,000 fans, and later drove a road-going Mustang around the layout for the cameras. But a demo lap in an old car tells engineers almost nothing about how this year's machine, with this year's aerodynamics, this year's tires, this year's downforce levels, will actually behave. This week is the first time a real, current, full-specification Formula One car has turned a wheel there. That's the line that actually matters. Now the answer. The answer is almost embarrassing in how simple it is. Buried in the F1 rulebook is something called a filming day, a promotional event, not a test session. It sits under a completely different article of the regulations, and it has its own separate set of limits that have nothing to do with the testing ban. 200 kilometers of running, special demonstration tires, not race rubber, and each team gets exactly 2 of these days per season. That's it. That's the entire gap. Nobody closed it, because on the surface, a filming day sounds harmless. Some laps for the cameras, a marketing moment, nothing that actually matters. Except Ferrari just proved that assumption wrong in the most expensive way possible. And the gap is wider than it looks. The distance allowance for these filming days used to be half of what it is now, capped at 100 kilometers before it was doubled a couple of seasons ago. That single change quietly turned what used to be a quick photo run into something with real, usable engineering time inside it. The same rule change also dropped an old requirement that teams had to notify everyone else before holding one of these events. So Ferrari didn't just find a loophole, they found one that got wider over time, and one that lets them run in near total silence. No advance notice, no heads up to rivals, just a car on track, and by the time anyone reacts, the laps are already banked. Here's the twist nobody's talking about. Ferrari already burned their first filming day back in April, at Monza, shaking down an upgraded car before Miami. That was the safe, obvious choice, a track they know better than their own garage. This Madrid run is their second filming day, their last one of the entire year. And they chose to spend it, not on a track they know, not on a safe photo op, but on the one circuit they'll actually need to race blind on in September. That's not a marketing decision, that's a calculated one. Teams don't burn their final Joker card on a whim. They burn it because the payoff is worth more than anything else they could have done with it. And it gets stranger. Ferrari isn't even paying for this. Formula One runs under a brutal cost cap. Every euro tracked, every trip accounted for, right down to the smallest logistics. Flying 2 cars, 2 drivers, and a full garage of staff to Madrid should be eating directly into Ferrari's budget. Except it's not, because the Madrid promoter invited them and is covering the bill. Why would a circuit pay for its rival's marketing? Because Madrid just paid nearly double what Barcelona used to pay to steal this race away, something in the region of 40 million euros a year. and they want the entire world watching when the first Formula One car ever turns a wheel on their track. It's a record that a circuit can sell forever. The day Ferrari, the most famous name in motorsport, christened their venue with Hamilton and Leclerc behind the wheel. Ferrari gets free running. Madrid gets a launch moment worth more than any billboard. Everybody wins except the 5 teams standing outside the fence with nothing. But here's where the real story hides. Not in the laps, not in the marketing, in the data. A brand new circuit is pure guesswork on a screen. Simulators are only as good as their assumptions, and for a track nobody's driven, those assumptions are just educated guesses about grip, bumps, and camber. The moment a real car runs real laps, every one of those guesses gets checked against reality. And this isn't 2 drivers doing donuts for a camera crew. The car goes out covered in sensors. Aerodynamic rakes, tall grids of pressure probes, get bolted to the bodywork to map exactly how air moves over this specific surface. Ride height runs, brake checks, systems checks. The drivers build up lap by lap while the numbers stream back to the garage in real time. The cameras get their footage, sure, but behind that promotional wrapper, Ferrari is running a genuine engineering session. Every single sensor pass is another row of real data on a track that, until this week, existed for them only as a set of predictions. Ferrari's engineers can now correct their simulator model for Madrid specifically, meaning by September, while every rival team is trusting an uncorrected guess, Ferrari is trusting a model that's already been tested against the truth. And this track isn't forgiving. It's a hybrid layout wrapped around Madrid's exhibition grounds near the airport, mixing permanent racetrack with public roads. A little over 5 kilometers, 22 corners, real elevation change, and a straight stretching beyond 800 meters where cars are expected to hit around 340 kilometers per hour before the brakes go on. Then there's turn 12. They're calling it La Monumental, banked at 24 degrees, the steepest corner anywhere on the F1 calendar, over 500 meters long, rising roughly 10 meters from bottom to top, meant to be taken flat out in a matter of seconds. Banking that severe does strange things to a car, how the tires load, how the suspension compresses under the extra force, how a driver has to place the car on entry so it doesn't run wide at the top. You can study banking like that on a monitor for weeks. You cannot understand what it does to a car until you're actually in it, at full speed, being pressed sideways into the seat. Hamilton and Leclerc now know. Nobody else does. Now here's the twist that keeps this honest, because it would be too easy to hand Ferrari the whole trophy right now. The tires are wrong. Demonstration rubber is built for safety and durability, not performance. It doesn't grip or wear like race tires, so every lap time from this session is meaningless. Nobody should read anything into how fast the car looked. The distance is limited too. 200 kilometers split across 2 cars and a full day of stopping for cameras isn't a real test program. It's a taste, with no long runs, no setup grinding, no hunting for balance. And the track itself isn't even finished. No proper curbs yet, no finished pit lane, reportedly a surface you could take a road car around and not much else. That surface will keep changing before race week as more rubber goes down and the track beds in. So whatever Ferrari learns this week about outright pace is worth almost nothing. But familiarity was never about pace. It's about not wasting September's first practice session finding out where the corners even go while your rivals are already pushing for the last 10th. And with both Hamilton and Leclerc having already won races this season, riding straight off a Silverstone victory the team is calling a real milestone, this isn't a team looking for an edge out of desperation. This is a team already fighting for the championship deep into the season, one that already found an edge, quietly, legally, and 2 months before anyone else even gets to try. The other teams get their own 2 filming days, but nobody invited them to Madrid, and nobody's paying their bill. Burning a filming day on an unfinished circuit on the wrong tires for a team that isn't footing the cost is a very hard sell to any board. So they wait. They arrive in September having never turned a wheel on this track, watching Ferrari unload 2 cars that have already been there twice, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing they can do about it now. They can't copy the run, they can't unsee the head start. All they can do is hope the gap is as small as everyone assumes, and wait to find out if it isn't.